chaos. From the stillness of the newborn world came a hum of light. The seas that Izanagi had stirred now gleamed beneath a sky that was no longer silent. From his final act of purification, 3 sparks had risen, each a god whose power would shape the fates of heaven and earth. Amaterasu was the first. She rose from the cleansing of the left eye, radiant beyond measure, her hair spilling light across the firmament. Her very breath turned night to gold. Where her gaze fell, mountains shone and the seas awakened to their tides. The gods of the high plain bowed before her brilliance and called her Amaterasu Omikami, the great divinity who illuminates heaven. Tsukuyomi, calm and distant, clothed in silver shadow. His eyes mirrored still water, his words were few, his heart reflective as the moon he carried. He moved in quiet balance to his sister's blazing course, day and night, light and rest, locked in eternal rhythm. And in a shudder of wind and thunder came Susanoo. His hair lashed like storm waves, his cry split the heavens. He was the roar in the mountain's throat, the wild heart of the tempest. The first thunder rolled from his lungs, the first lightning was born in his eyes. Izanagi looked upon his children, the light, the calm, and the storm, and for a moment the world was perfect. Yet even in the heart of divinity, discord stirs as shadow to flame. Susanoo's spirit burned restlessly. Where Amaterasu brought order, he saw confinement. Where Tsukuyomi moved in silence, he heard mockery. The seas called to him with their endless motion, and the wind whispered of distant lands not yet touched by light. He would stand upon the clouds and rage against the stillness of heaven itself. When the time came for the 3 children to rule, Izanagi divided the realms. To Amaterasu, he gave the high plain of heaven, the radiant sky where day begins. To Tsukuyomi, the cool dominion of the moonlit night. To Susanoo, the vast oceans and the storms that wander over them. But Susanoo was not content. The seas, though boundless, felt like a cage. He longed to rise higher, to thunder beside the sun goddess herself, or to shatter her light. He wept, and his tears fell in torrents that shook the mountains. Wherever they struck, rivers overflowed, villages drowned, and the forests bent their backs before his sorrow. The gods grew fearful. The high plain trembled beneath the sound of his cries. When Izanagi beheld the ruin, he was filled with sorrow and wrath. "Enough," he said. "The storm has no peace in heaven. Let him go to the realm appointed for him, the seas, and beyond them, the land of Yomi, if he will not rest." And so the decree fell. Susanoo would be banished from the sky. Yet before descending, the storm god resolved to bid farewell to his sister, Amaterasu, the sun. But in his heart, the farewell had become a storm of pride, and the storm had no words for love. Across the high plain of heaven, a great wind rose. The clouds split like torn silk as Susanoo ascended for the last time. His footsteps cracked the stones of heaven. The rivers of light wavered and dimmed. The lesser gods fled from his coming. Amaterasu, seeing the turmoil, thought her brother had come to seize her throne. She tied her shining hair into sacred knots, hung jewels upon her brow, and girded herself with a sword that shimmered like dawn on water. Around her, she built a fortress of clouds and set her feet upon the stones of heaven. When the storm reached her gates, the world itself seemed to hold its breath. The wind that carried Susanoo's fury tore through the high plain of heaven. Clouds shuddered and broke apart. The sky dimmed until even Amaterasu's light trembled. He came not as a brother bearing farewell, but as the tempest itself, hair streaming, eyes wild, voice like the roll of thunder across an endless sea. Amaterasu stood upon the bridge of heaven, her brilliance steady yet cautious. "Brother," she said, though her voice was a ray through storm clouds, "why do you rage against the order our father set?" But Susanoo could not hear peace. His heart was the beating drum of chaos. "I have been cast away," he cried, "banished to waters that know no sky. Is this the reward for the son of Izanagi, to drown beneath the waves while you burn above them?" His words shook the firmament. Amaterasu's face remained calm, but sorrow darkened her eyes. The storm belongs to the sea, just as light belongs to the sun. Such is the balance our father decreed, she replied. Balance, how that word burned him. He laughed, bitter and low. Then let us see how your balance endures the wrath of the storm. He unsheathed his blade, the edge gleaming like frozen lightning, and with a single stroke, he shattered the clouds surrounding heaven's gates. The wind screamed, rivers of light twisted upon themselves. Where he walked, fields of heaven splintered, shrines toppled, and sacred trees snapped in two. Amaterasu's attendants fled in terror. The sky that once glittered with morning became a storm-torn void. Still, the sun goddess stood her ground, refusing to raise her weapon against the blood of her blood. Cease, Susanoo. This path leads only to darkness, she warned. But darkness had already claimed him. He roamed through the divine halls, overturning offerings, scattering jewels of starlight into the void. In madness and grief, he descended upon Amaterasu's celestial rice fields, the golden plains that fed the gods themselves, and laid them waste beneath his thunder. He tore up the furrows, uprooted the grain, and hurled the sacred plow into the heavens. The cries of the harvest spirits rose like smoke. And yet worse followed. Drunk on rage, Susanoo strode to the hall of the loom, where Amaterasu's handmaidens wove garments of light for the gods. There, in a fit of cruel defiance, he flung down the flayed carcass of a heavenly horse through the roof. The loom shattered. One maiden fell, struck by the splinters of sacred wood. Her blood stained the thread of sunlight red. That single act broke the heart of heaven. For the first time, Amaterasu's light faltered. She cried out, not in anger, but in grief so vast the stars seemed to dim in reverence. She looked upon the ruin of her realm and the brother who had wrought it, and whispered, "If light can only bring pain, then let the world live without me." And with that, she turned away. Down the path of clouds she fled, until she came upon a cavern at the edge of the world. There she entered and sealed herself within, rolling a mighty boulder across its mouth. And as the stone settled into place, the world exhaled its last breath of day. The sun was gone. Darkness fell upon heaven and earth alike. The high plain grew cold. The seas churned in confusion, bereft of their guiding light. On the earth below, mortals stumbled and wept beneath a sky that no longer dawned. Demons of shadow crept from fissures unseen since the beginning, whispering promises to the frightened. The gods gathered in panic, their faces pale reflections of Amaterasu's lost light. And Susanoo, at last seeing what his wrath had wrought, stood silent amid the wreckage. His storm had conquered heaven, but victory tasted of ash. Darkness fell across the high plain of heaven. Amaterasu, the radiant sun, had hidden herself within the heavenly rock cave, sealing its entrance with a massive stone. The world was plunged into shadow. No bird sang, no river gleamed. Even the dew upon the grass was cold and lifeless. Without her light, the heavens wept, and the earth beneath trembled in sorrow. The gods, who had once basked in her brilliance, now wandered in despair, through the mists of eternal night. Susanoo's fury had left the heavenly fields in ruin. He had torn the sacred rice paddies, flung excrement into Amaterasu's halls, and hurled the body of a flayed horse into her weaving room, staining the loom with divine blood. When she beheld this desecration, grief and anger consumed her. She withdrew to the cavern, taking with her the light of the world, leaving only the silence of mourning behind. The other deities gathered before the sealed cave, their faces pale with dread. "What shall we do?" they asked. "The sun goddess has hidden her face and the world decays." Then the wise god Cain, the thinker of heaven, spoke. "We must bring her forth not with anger, but with joy. Let the laughter of the gods call her back to us." So they began their sacred plan. The gods gathered jewels of the morning dew and strung them into a gleaming necklace. They took the mirror of polished bronze, the first of its kind, and hung it upon a sacred sakaki tree before the mouth of the cave. Around the tree they placed offerings, white cloth, blue cloth, and gifts of shimmering beauty. Then they built a great bonfire, and the flames crackled with divine heat, casting long shadows upon the stone that sealed their goddess within. From among them stepped Amaterasu, the goddess of mirth and dance. She was radiant and wild, her hair bound loosely with vines, her eyes glimmering like twin moons. She overturned a wooden tub before the cave, climbed upon it, and began to dance. Her laughter echoed through the night as she stamped her feet and shook her bells. The flames painted her skin gold and crimson as she moved, each motion filled with the power of life itself. At first, the gods watched in silence, but as her dance grew more frenzied, as her laughter rippled like waves across the darkness, they could not contain themselves. They roared with mirth. The heavens rang with laughter. The echo of joy reached even into the sealed cavern. From within, Amaterasu heard the clamor and was puzzled. "I have shut myself away. Why then do the gods rejoice?" Her voice, muffled by stone, trembled with curiosity. She called out, "What stirs this merriment?" And Amaterasu answered between breaths of laughter, "Because there is one greater than you, O radiant one. We celebrate the presence of a goddess more luminous than the sun." Amaterasu's pride stirred. "Impossible," she said softly, and curiosity burned brighter than her anger. Slowly she rolled the stone aside, and a single ray of her light spilled into the dark, the mirror hanging before them. Entrance caught it, and what she saw made her heart halt. There, shining with divine splendor, was her own reflection. For the first time, the sun goddess beheld her own glory. In that moment, the strong god Amaterasu leapt from the shadows and seized her hand. With mighty strength, he pulled her from the cave, and the other gods quickly rolled the stone back into place so she could not return. Light burst across the heavens once more. The birds sang, the rivers gleamed, and the cold dew of the earth warmed. The darkness was broken, the dawn had returned. When Amaterasu beheld the destruction Susanoo had wrought, sorrow clouded her face. The storm god stood before her, his head bowed, his fury spent. "I meant not to destroy the heavens," he said. "My rage was born of pain, and my heart was clouded by grief. But the balance of heaven had been broken, and his repentance could not undo the ruin." The assembly of gods gathered in judgment. They stripped Susanoo of his divine ornaments and cast him out from the high plane of heaven. The once mighty storm was silenced, his thunder dimmed. Amaterasu turned away as he descended the celestial stair, his figure swallowed by the mists below. Thus ended the age of peace among the three heavenly children, and the storm fell to the mortal world, where destiny waited in the coils of a serpent. So ended the tale of the sun and the storm, the rift that split heaven and earth. Yet even in exile, Susanoo's name would echo in the ages to come, for his redemption lay ahead, buried within the scales of the beast that dwelt in the land of Azuma.